I'd like to welcome everybody today to Still and Moving Center's Gems from the Wisdom Traditions. And today we have a speaker coming to us from the Hindu tradition. His name is Sooriya Kumar, and he is going to be interviewed today by Cliff Tillotson with some of the background ideas, I believe, from the Bhagavad Gita, one of the primary Hindu texts. And I thought I'd just start with a little reading from another Hindu text, the Yaneshvari. The performance of one's duty is the highest sacrifice, yajna. And the person who is devoted to such sacrifice is free from all bonds. Cliff, if I can, I'd like you to give a little introduction, if you would, to Surya, and then go ahead and begin your interview if you'd be so kind.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, it's actually a wonderful, great privilege to have Surya join us for this meeting of the Gems of Wisdom Traditions. This one's on spiritual sacrifice. And kind of as a segue into today's meeting, I'd like to share something I read about history the other day that I think is really appropriate. Usually when I hear the word history, and probably all of you too, you kind of start to yawn because you think of boring teachers and dusty textbooks. But, you know, when you really think about what history is and what it should be, it's really the story of humanity. That's really what history is. People just ruin it. And normally the story is told from the view of all the commotion in the world, all the wars, all the tyrants, all the bullies, all the loudest people in the room. But this passage I read the other day was remarking that there's a whole other quieter, a little more invisible side of history. It's, I think, what Gandhi was pointing to when he said that he believed that the sum total of human energy is to lift us up rather than to bring us down. And that side of history is the history of the gift givers. And I found that so striking that there's also this other side of history that has to do with giving, has to do with sacrifice, has to do with service. And yet it often goes obscured by this other more attention-getting side of history. It's almost as though history is like these two ropes, a dark rope and a white rope, the dark rope of taking and the light rope of giving. And we get, as strands in this rope, each of us are a thread in this rope, we get to choose whether we're taking or giving. Surya, in the journey of his life, has learned, besides being an artist, a carver, or actually an amazing artist, as many of you know of, he's actually an artist in the idea of giving. Through his life, he's learned what it means to give. And I often, when I think of Surya, I think of the story of Krishna as a little boy, the Hindu avatar Krishna, who, when his friends, the gopis, were so thirsty one time, he took an empty urn and continued to pour an endless stream of nourishing milk out of this urn. And Surya is like that. He's gone from having nothing, basically, to giving so much, to uplifting so many, especially on the Waianae coast, the children over there in particular. And then in Sri Lanka, this little man has done so much giving in his life. It's incredible. So hopefully in this conversation today, we can maybe learn some of his secrets of how we too can be gift givers. And it's not been easy for Surya. His journey has been challenging, very challenging. I remember reading a passage from William Faulkner, who said that a person's life begins in innocence, it goes through violence, and ultimately, hopefully, it reaches wisdom, which is a kind of innocence too, but an innocence with awareness and knowledge. And I think this has been a lot about what Surya's journey in life has been, from an innocent period of childhood in Sri Lanka to a terrible period of violence, because Sri Lanka had terrible civil wars and his family was very much affected by those. And then through his journeys in life, he's reached some insights and wisdom that he's going to share with us today. So Surya, thank you so much for coming and gracing us with your presence today to talk about sacrifice and service. So let me ask the general question of, we in the West, we don't really understand what real sacrifice means. What can you share with us about what sacrifice means to you and what you've learned in life?
First of all, I'm very, very happy to be here. I'm very thankful to my brother Cliff and Renee and my parents, my grandparents, the people I met on my journey, and all the sadhus, and all people I met, I shared. They helped me to make this experience, and they helped me to be where I am today, to share this very humbly. It is my experience, it's my truth. When you ask about sacrifice, sacrifice is a very important word. For me, I learned it from my grandparents, my parents. I look at them, what they did. They sacrificed their life for others. The first thing is I learned when I was a little boy, they always fed and served others. They didn't have any judgment. Never my father expected anything from other people. He did everything from his heart. That is sacrifice. If I do, sacrifice means how we are connected to ourselves. First, we sacrifice ourselves to the Creator, to the giver. And the giver has given this gift of life. And we are the receiver. It has to be aligned. It has to be connected. I saw it in my grandparents when I was a little boy. I'm very grateful to my grandparents and also especially my mother and father. They taught me all these things without talking. Only by doing, I saw it. I have a very vivid, the memory is so green, how they served, how they gave, never expected anything. I remember my father very well. Before eating, he went outside of the house, looked both sides, is there any somebody is coming hungry? He gave his own food to them. When I think of I'm sorry.
That's okay. Well, I think I'm going to share with you something that's been, Surya's carried with him his whole life. In 1948, Sri Lanka gained its independence from England. It was called Ceylon before that. But when it did, after it gained its liberty, there was tremendous violence in the country. And part of that violence, Surya's father was killed. And Surya actually witnessed the murder of his father. When we were talking this morning, Surya was sharing to me that there's something fundamental about sacrifice that includes something that I wouldn't have thought of, but it's forgiveness. And so I was wondering if maybe, Surya, you could share something about about forgiveness and sacrifice.
So I was in the 20s. My father was killed in front of my mother. Then when my father was killed, I cremated my father. I looked at the blood and I cleaned everything. And then I understood something. I didn't have the feeling of my body, no feeling at all. So that from the cemetery to the house, then I cleaned everything. I did everything according to our tradition. The eldest son takes care of everything. Family, sisters, all were small. I was very naive. I didn't know anything about anything. So I sacrificed my life at that time to take care of my family and the people. And what did you ask me? I forgot.
Forgiveness.
Forgiveness. So when my father was murdered, I wanted to tell you, we went to the courts. We were all standing. My mother was standing. All the children were there. And there is no fairness there. My mother came home. She said only one thing. Father is gone. We cannot bring him back. And you all have to follow your father, your grandparents. My grandparents wrote, by the way, my mother's side wrote a lot of spiritual books, all chanting, still used in Sri Lanka among my people. So they come from this kind of family. My mother said, you all have to go in the right path. Forgive everybody. We cannot take our father back. And that time, we don't know what to say because we are very naive. But over the years, what happened, my mother was upset how the people who killed my father will feel. Not about father is gone. And I did the same thing. There it is, forgiveness means there we care about people. We self-awareness I talk about, thinking about the other people, how they would feel after. Not about father is gone. I started my life, I walked across India, I was in the Himalayas, and I met one sadhu, yogi. He was cremating all the bodies. I was sitting by the Ganges, tears were falling down, and I was watching, I cremated my father again, end up there. He gave me the blessing. He predicted me certain things. When he spoke to me, my heart opened. Only when I looked, I cried and cried for 3 days. I look at Mother Ganga, river is flowing, crystal clear water, sun is shining. And that time, something happened to me. I only felt love. There is no hatred. There is no fear. Only love was there everywhere. I looked around, the light was kind of different. It's kind of yellowish, all twinkling. There the forgiveness is given. Only with that love, I walk across overland to Europe many times. When I went there, everybody was welcoming me with great joy. Already the sadhu, he showed me the way. He only said, you are the son, Surya. There are many people waiting. You have a lot of work to do. Don't waste your time. Go forward with love. Share the love. Love everybody. That word still ringing in my ears. I did it. I trusted him. At that time, I couldn't trust because I was numb, because things happened in my life. When I went to Europe and all these people, even today in Hawaii, I love people. People are with me. There are many things happened in Hawaii too. Beautiful things. I never thought. It is all from my parents, my grandparents. They say what the parents do good, it comes to the children. This is very true. What they taught me today, I'm well looked after. Wherever I go, there is people with so much love. I have so much love to share. So this is the greatest thing. First thing is forgiveness. Forgiveness means one has to forgive oneself first, then forgive others. When the forgiveness happens, there is sacrifice. There is no judgment. There is nothing. When we talk about sacrifice. For me, it is only doing. There is no expectation. You align with yourself to the giver, the gift, and I'm the receiver. I give gift, receive, share, love. The first thing is the forgiveness. I'm very grateful. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting with Brother Cliff. Today, I'll be a very angry man. I won't be alive today. Today, I'm alive and I'm following I sacrificed also a lot of time, my energy for my family for many years. They were in refugee camps in India. I came here. I'm very grateful to the people here. I could work. I didn't help only my family. I helped the people I know, all of them equally. Sometimes I gave more what I could do than my own family. That is what my parents taught me, without expectation, do. Now all my family in Hawaii, other parts of the world, we are doing very well because I sacrificed for many years for my family. According to the Hindu tradition, eldest son, you grow up as a little boy, then you learn everything from the parent, you become young, then you marry, you do all the things what you have to do it for your wife and your family, all the duties, including your brothers, sisters, the community around you, your society, all together in one. Now, I feel very accomplished today. I feel good today. I followed what my father and my mother is still alive. She's 94 years old.
Let me just ask one more question, then I'd like to invite everybody else to ask Surya some questions. Surya and I have, one of the things that Surya and I have in common is a great love for this one Hindu teacher, Ramana Maharshi. And we've both been to his, where he lived to spend his life. And Surya goes there often for rejuvenation. And he brings me back books and rocks and so forth from that area. And the teaching of Ramana Maharshi is very simple. He asks people to ask themselves, who am I? Ask yourself deeper and deeper the question, who am I? But I was thinking along with that question that's very much associated with that question is, why am I here? That they seem to be very much this connected questions. And it seems like the question, why am I here, could be asked, what is my duty or what is my dharma? And so in the Hindu tradition, there's a lot of teachings about dharma, about duty. And Surya was telling me that a lot of one's dharma comes from understanding one's lineage of one's family, one's community, and so forth. But it seems that in Surya, in your quest and your journey in life, you were searching for your dharma, and in understanding your dharma, you also understood something about sacrifice. Yes, so I was wondering, what do you think is the connection between dharma and sacrifice?
So there is no dharma without sacrifice, right? It has to connect together because, as I told before, the sacrifice, whatever we do it from our heart. We serve. Like for an example, like, may I share this?
Yes.
It's all about you. So very quickly, I want to say, I want to do a project in Hawaii. That is the whale, ocean whale, mother and child. It's huge. It is the largest one in the world. But I sacrificed myself completely, all my heart. I want to do it. I don't know how to do this. I'm in trouble with this. At that time, I met Brother Cliff. He takes care of me. He said, Surya, don't worry, we will make it happen. We did it together. I sacrificed myself completely for this project for world peace. 4,000 people, 1,000 children were involved. But in the meantime, Cliff also was there. He's much more sacrificed for this project. So it worked. No, I mean, you always say this because I'm very grateful for this. I accomplished something, my vision, my dream, and also the dharma we talk about. It's everything coming from both. When you do some service, good service to others for yourself, it's a sacrifice. It's sacrifice of yourself, maybe your time, life, energy, all together, it comes together. I can do whatever I want, I give here, there. No, it has to come from very depth of yourself. That is the real dana and dharma in our life. That is what I call sacrifice something for good, right?
Yeah. Do any of you, probably all of you know something of Surya, hopefully most of you do. Would any of you like to ask Surya a question?
Given our topic is the idea of the spirit of sacrifice. Yeah.
Spirit of sacrifice. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Surya.
I have
Namaskar. This is Veena. Thank you for your wisdom. I'm just going to say thank you for your presentation. Could you tell us any story in your? I came a little late as a childhood. The word sacrifice is scary for young people. When you use the word sacrifice, they think, "Oh my goodness, I have to give up. I don't want to sacrifice anything." It seems like a scary word. I mean, devotion, dedication, offering. So how can we communicate to our young people the word sacrifice in today's world? Thank you.
So it is, for me, I work with a lot of children. How you are with them, how that sacrifice, first of all, in Western, I don't know very much if I say wrong, is misunderstood completely. Because there is sacrifice, the word in my language, but we don't use the word sacrifice. It comes itself. I work with all kinds of different children. I have a way, it is only love and the heart. You explain to them, you do this. I worked with more than 1,000 children last year. And everybody is coming, especially when they come from different backgrounds. They have a lot of issues. So only by loving them, caring about them, and not to talk too much, only what I did is by doing, right, things. After that, they got to know me, Uncle Surya, we want to do this, we want to do this. They came close to me. After that, I talked to them about yesterday or day before something happened. So that is the only way I did it. I don't really, when you are in Vienna, I have so many kids. 30 years ago, I know they are grown-up people. They work with me. They made a journal. Still, I have it today. They're 30 years, 25 years. And I see them. Some places you can explain some children. Some children, you don't explain, you don't talk. You do something with them. This is the way I do. This is the way it worked out for me today very well.
Let me just share something how Surya did this. In the Giant Whale Project, it was done with many, many hands, especially children's hands, pounding on the whale. But what Surya would say to them as the children came and started to grab one of these wooden mallets and start to hammer on the whale, he would say, I want you to hit the whale with the hammer, but you have to do it with your heart. You have to hit. And every one of the children understood that immediately, the analogy right away. So it's like Gandhi's idea of blending the head, the heart, and the hands all in the same endeavor. Children understand that just automatically. And it was amazing that, oh yeah, hit with my heart. And it was beautiful to watch. It was beautiful to watch.
Yeah, that's great. I think when I said children, I was talking about college students. So I wasn't talking about little ones. But I think you're right. That was through example, and through modeling, these kids really learned. So that's a great point. Thank you.
And
Elizabeth?
Yes, Surya, as you know, my connection to Sri Lanka is with Dr. A.T. Aryaratne and the Sarvodaya movement. Sarvodaya, you say? there.
Yeah.
And what has impressed me a great deal about that movement is how they teach children. And Veena, I think I was very interested to hear you raise that issue, because I agree that the word sacrifice in our Western culture has very negative connotations. Anyway, in the Sarvodaya movement, they teach little children only two things, two principles. One is inner peace, and the other is generosity. And I wonder if we cannot substitute with children the concept of generosity, which is exactly what you are talking about when you say sacrifice. Is if I'm a peaceful person and I focus on what do I have to give, and I'm always in this mood of what can I give, then everyone will be well off. And anyway, isn't that the same thing as sacrifice, that you put the others ahead?
Yeah. Yes, I agree with you. That is the same way I live my life. I shouldn't say I, but doing it with a lot of people together. Today, the adults we are talking about how to teach them. Today in our farm, thousands of university students all came there. I talk about sharing, giving, loving, how to work together. And every week I have a gathering with them at the temple. They will ask me something to talk about. I talk about very simple, my experience only. I cannot say anything more. They are very, very together. Now, when I do it one time, they all want to work with me. I don't like to work every day with people. I want to be in solitude. Every time they wait for their turn to come and talk to me, work with me, whatever I say, they do that. They are learning something in this way. What is sacrifice? I told my story. You look here, I didn't have food. I used to count my bones. In India, on the street, there are dogs. Also, they have bones. I count the dog's bones. My bone, when I have food, I only chew, take the juice out, give the food to the dogs. That life I had. Today, you see, we have everything here. I'm fat. I have a stomach and all of this. And it is important to share what we have. May I tell you one thing? I was, last week happened, they come and go. And I do a lot of artwork and other things with them. I told them about this project. I have a school, I started a school. I need to send some money. $1, it feeds one child. I was just talking. They donated all the kids money for me last week. I sent $400. It is a big surprise. I never asked from them, only talking. They asked about my trip to Sri Lanka. I was explaining there are 6 kids. They're 22. They all want to come to Sri Lanka to help me today. So they learned something in a different way. You show them the way other people showed me the way, a different way. I don't talk too much. Actions speak louder than the words. This I do with them.
I think you are the very embodiment of generosity.
In one of our previous 2 weeks ago, we had a conversation on Joseph Campbell's The Hero. And he was the fellow that was giving the presentation. What was his name again, Renee?
Roger Epstein.
Roger Epstein was saying that there's a new kind of heroism that's needed that Joseph Campbell was predicting. And it's more having to do with giving, with interdependence. And I think we in the West are trying to make a transition into that kind of way of being that the East seems to understand a lot more than the West, about Dharma, about giving, about service and so forth. So I think, this whole idea that you're sharing with us is so important to us here in the West. Does anyone else have a question?
I do.
Yep.
Surya, in a strange way, this question arises from me watching you work on statues and leaving the eyes of whatever being it is that you're carving until the last. And then when you open those eyes, it is such a special moment. And I know that you always pray, you do mantra, you meditate, and then that opening of the eyes is the bringing of that statue or that carving to life. And I wanted to ask you about, is there something to you, and maybe in the Hindu faith, about just the fact of us coming into the world and being born is a sacrifice? Before we're born, we could be, who knows, in very heavenly kind of realms. But once we come into the world, we do get exposed eventually to so much suffering we go through, each of us in our own way. And so I wanted you to talk to us, if you would, about being born into the world. Is that sort of a sacrifice?
Yes, it is, because you see, only I can say what my parents, according to our karma, previous karma, our soul chooses the father and the mother. We have come here to start this sacred journey. In this journey, it is already, the mother carries the baby for 10 months or 9 months with so much suffering. It is the biggest sacrifice she gives. And we are born. And then already when we are born, it is already our life. Already it is written in the forehead. Only we turn the pages according to the karma. That is what my mother talks about it. And my father told me one thing, we come with nothing, we go with nothing. Only the karma, whatever we have done from our heart, it comes along with us. And when we come to the world, when we are born, it is a sacrifice. Already mother did it. Right? So we are connected to the mother. Without the mother, I'm not here. She sacrificed, and it is a sacrifice in some level, which I understand that. Then what happened, I see my mother every week or something. I always remember, I look at her hands, it is old and everything. Last time I was thinking, this is a hand who carried me. Sacrifice. It is a sacrifice. And that hand is wrinkled here. I look at her hands last time very carefully. Very carefully I looked at it. I felt, oh, I'm so happy to be with her, to see that. I'm remembering something when I was born. She told me certain stories. I remember, this is her hands who carried me all the way. So she has given the sacrifice she went through, given it to me to do it. It's already, we have that sacrifice. We don't use the word sacrifice there. It is already, it's given. My mother says it's already written in the forehead, everything.
Thank you.
Someone else have a thought or a question?
I think Ram does.
Ram does.
Hi. First of all, thank you for this. And Sooriya ji, pranam. So now, always nice to have your darshan. I was thinking about the concept of sacrifice, and I think what you just said really sums it up, the idea of the parent sacrificing for the child. As we know, the parent doesn't think of themselves as sacrificing. They're just loving. And true love is a sacrifice. And true sacrifice is love. That when I can let go of my own comfort for the benefit of others, and that's what a parent does all the time, is you have to let go of your own comfort to care for your children. And that becomes the most important thing you can do. And why do you do it? You do it out of love. So that when we know love, then our whole life is a sacrifice.
That's a beautiful thought, Ramdas.
It's a thank you.
I wonder if Mary has a question or comment she'd like to make.
Oh, I love being voluntold. It's all good. It's all good. Mahalo, Surya.
Oh,
And what came to mind to me was how you approach other people and thinking about how we get out of our comfort zone. When we get out of our own comfort zone, that is a sacrifice. And we go through all sacrifices throughout our day because sometimes we really don't want to do something, but we know we should do it because it's going to be for the betterment of the house, the kids, the family, the spouse. And just thinking when you're talking to the kids and when you're showing them something, you're reaching into a need that they have to be of service to something else, to go beyond their own pleasures, their own wants and wishes to help somebody else. So I think that is so perfect, how you're able to reach others and show them a different way, something that they'll feel good about themselves by helping others. Amen.
Surya, thank you so much. It's been a beautiful presentation. And I was just wondering if you could perhaps say a little bit more about your craft or your artwork, because obviously that's been a big part of your life as well.
yes.
How did that, was that something that also your father passed on? Was it a family tradition? How did you come about that? And what has that meant to you?
Oh, that is a very good question you asked me. I'd like to share it with you. I was born in a very small village. There was a Hindu temple, one of the oldest Shiva temples in Sri Lanka. So my grandfather was a village doctor. My father was born there. It's a small village. And in that temple, when I was about 6-7 years old, there were sculptors from India, 5 or 6 of them, they came. They were sculpting stone. So first I heard the sound. When 5 people sculpt, there is a rhythm. There is a rhythm. And then I was very attracted to this sound. Only then when I was next year, I go there, I was so skinny. I sit in lotus position for hours. My father and mother will look for me where they found me with the sculptors. That is what I want to say is the rhythm, the sound of creation. Everything is born here. Everything is there, is the sound. So for me, that is the way I watched and I was interested. So I traveled across India and many parts of the world, Europe. I have been to thousands of churches in all over Europe, even northern part of Europe, Sweden, Norway. I never miss. When I go there sometime, they play the organ. I see all this icon painting. When I come to India, I go to all these temples and everything. I see the beauty. One sculpture in my village really inspired me a lot. That is Shiva and Shakti. The sculptor became the sculpture. He did that sculpture. I looked at it when I was 15 years old. Shakti is looking at Shiva. Shiva, there is some love and there is some energy there. It's one of the most, that really inspired me. Then I did something in Hawaii, Annunciation. The Archangel Michael, I forgot now, don't remember. And the Mother Mary, I did that Annunciation 4 feet. I make the angel whispering to Mother Mary. The way I made it, when you look at it, the words are coming out. The Mother Mary is still listening. How I can make it? When I finished that, I started, tears were falling down. That is a state of blissfulness. Even Ganesha at Rene's place, that is all done in that way. Rene mentioned to me that art, the eyes, the last thing I will do, I put my leg here, there, everywhere. When I open the eyes, there is a meditation, a prayer. You give your mana, your heart, everything to that sculpture. It becomes alive right away. And I listened to Rene. She knows about it. I spoke to her about it. Still, I follow my guru. I'm very grateful to my guru in India. Vidya Sangha, he is one of the best sculptors in India. He gave me, I learned from him many other people. He was a big inspiration. And in Hawaii also, Evelyn Giddings, she crossed over. She has been so many people helped me to do this. It is a blessing. Thank you for asking that question from me. I really, it is my life, that sound. Still I hear, still I found the copper, anything. I have a rhythm of creation. People come and talk to me. They know my sound already because it's everything is rhythm, sound of sounds. Thank you for asking that.
I was going to say along with that, Surya, when Surya was doing the giant whale project, and if you live in Hawaii or you come to Hawaii, you have to go to Nanakuli to see the mother and the baby whale on the side of the community center. It's they're all both life size. And there's a movie coming out about the whole project. So look for that movie. But they brought the whale to our shop here. We're at my shop here in Kapolei to work on it. And all these people came and started pounding together on the whale. Some people, all they heard was noise, but many people that had their ears opened could hear the rhythm of everybody pounding together, this amazing drumming sound of all this hammers, this wood hammers on this copper, and the vibration that went through this entire concrete building was pretty amazing. We couldn't use our phone system for a few days, but it was amazing. And I was thinking of, actually, I was blessed to be able to have a Sanskrit teacher in college, and she taught us a lot about the roots of various Sanskrit words. And the root of the word dharma is rita, and rita means rhythm or harmony, actually universal harmony. So I think when you were listening to these sculptors and you were picking up on the rhythm, they were tapping into something very, very deep, as well as you have in your art as well.
My parents, they never did sculpture or anything, but they were also artists in different ways, writing, doing. Everybody is an artist. Whatever we do is an art form. But I'm very grateful that this is the giver has given this gift to me to create. Now I'm creating something very special. Now at the moment, I'm into that. When I do that, I become one. That is the meditation. I become one with that. The rhythm and the piece I'm working all align one.
Beautiful. Surya, this is Robin Rohr. We met a number of years ago through Michael North. And I just wanted you to know that when people speak about you, there is a joyousness when they share your story or your wisdom, and there is a feeling of them just being drenched in gratitude for the encounter. And I just wanted to say your very presence in the world changes hearts and changes minds.
Thank you. I thank you so much. Yes.
I have a Surya share. Some of you heard this before, but I was hanging out at the Voyage of Aloha with Surya. We had seats next to each other at lunchtime during the break. There was an open-faced sandwich, and I grabbed the bottle of mayonnaise, and I was talking to Surya, and I kind of squirted a little mayonnaise around, and I looked down, and sure enough, it was a perfect Om symbol. I am not kidding you. It's he emanates it. It's just around.
That's interesting.
You were channeling, David.
So I wonder, did you happen to get a recording of that sound of the banging and the tapping?
I think so, yes. It'll probably be in the video. Definitely
Yeah.
when they were doing out at Maui Farms, you could hear all the children banging away with joyousness. It was wonderful.
Oh, it is. No.
Well, we have a few more minutes. Surya, would you tell us about what you're working on right now?
I'm working on something. I cannot talk about it in front of Renee and Cliff. It is a special thing I'm doing for months. And also, I'm into it. That's what I said. I'm right into it. And I'm doing a project for a friend of mine. He asked me, is 31 feet of koi fish. I learned a little bit more about it talking to him. And he said that symbolized koi fish, about 31 feet, about 15 koi, and the waves, and the waterfall, and the mountain. He asked me to put one koi jumping up in the waterfall. That is, he explained, that is the enlightenment. And also he explained so many things I don't remember. That is the project, because after explaining, he explained everything to me, I'm more into it. I'm doing it. Yesterday he came to see me. That's the project I'm doing. I do small project here and there, you know. Thank you very much for asking about it. And I welcome all of you to come to Maui Farm, you know. All are welcome, you know, anytime, you know.
So, yes, Maui Farm is certainly one of your beautiful projects that's a gift to the community. Many acres that you've stripped from being a complete bed of weeds into now productive farmland that is filled with vegetables as well as fruit trees and all kinds of beautiful produce that gets grown by you and all the people who give of themselves to help create that food. And also they gain so much being there with you. Could you, Surya, tell us a little bit about being with your grandfather? You told me once a lovely story about how your grandfather would take care of people. Was he a doctor?
Oh, yeah, I forgot all, but now I remember. It is a great blessing for me, my parents, and I was born in that village. Many yogis, all walks of life, they come to my grandfather's house. He was a village doctor. He was a very peaceful man, giving man. My father also said. So, what did you ask me? I always forget something. Oh yeah, so he was helping all these people, they come. He had a kind of hale, all cow dung plastered and everything. There are mats rolled up, about 10, 15 in one side, I remember. So he makes medicine. They have rice fields, vegetable garden. People come from far away, very poor, I remember. They come with burden and sickness. My grandfather, first thing what he did is fed them, gave tea, take the mat, they lie down, they talk to the family. And the man is okay, he's in good health. Okay, he's also very firm. You go to the fields, you work. The lady stays there. He told me, I learned a little bit medicine also from him when I was small. He said to me, it's very important to love. You care about them. That is there, it comes sacrifice again. He sacrificed his everything for the people. In 1 week later, they felt good. Everybody is good. When they were going, again, feeding, helping. We had a rice field. He gave a bag of rice. This picture is there. The lady carrying the baby, bag of rice in the head balance. They walk in the dusty road. That really brought me. Still today, it's so clear for me how I saw it. That is what you were mentioning, Renee?
Yes.
That really changed something, Then we were small kids. When people come, we have to put the mats right away. All protocol we have to do. This way only, my grandfather trained me. My father trained me when I was little. I remember one chant also, my father, how to light the lamp. This chant, I forgot over the years. Now I remember one sentence was missing. I asked from so many people, nobody knows. One day I went to my mother's place. I spoke to her. She knows it exactly. She knows so many chants. I'm recording all the chants from my mother. She told me, lighting lamp. That is another different subject. At Mauna, 5:30, when the sun goes down, the 5 lights, temple, Buddha temple, all these places, they light the lamp. I'm showing to the kids, they come from mainland students and everything. I explain what is life, first of all, why you are doing. This kind of way, they do it exactly. I tell them, when the sun is down, this light has to come up. They are following. They are listening. They are very interested in it. So this way, they are dedicated. I'm here. 5:30, I gave responsibility to some people. They will do it at 5:30. Clean everything, clean the lamp. When I go nighttime, I stand there. I see the flame every corner, all around. But that is beauty. That beauty of the flame, you carry it within you, within yourself. That is also sacrifice too. You have to sacrifice the time, right on time. I explained why. Why do you do this? You see?
I was thinking that, actually, Surya, the word sacrifice in English, I think comes from a Latin root, which means to make sacred. Actually, that's what it
That
really
is what it is. I never know.
It really means to make.
Thank you for telling this to me.
To make sacred. And everything you've been saying today is along those lines of kind of learning how to be a giver, a gift giver, finding one's dharma, finding one's ability to share, to be of service, to give back, to honor, to bless. And very much, it seems to me, the tradition you've come from is very much in line with the Hawaiian traditions too. Along, that's maybe why you came to Hawaii, is because of the connection between Sri Lanka and Hawaii being along the same line, especially the lineages, right, Mary, of ancestors and honoring those that have come before. But it's been a wonderful conversation, Surya, about the idea of the deep idea of sacrifice, which we often in the West kind of like steer away from, like, oh, I don't want to get involved in that. But
Yeah.
It's what makes life worth living. It's what life is. Life is built up by sacrifice. So I just can't say how much I've really enjoyed having you and hearing everything that you've shared with us and getting to be your friend over here in Hawaii. So,
and also I'd like to say thank you, Mahalo, for everything. One more thing I want to say, I'm remembering every day, the giver, the creator or God or whatever, giver, the gift of a life and receiver, right? When there is no gift, there is no receiver. I'm just talking to myself. The gift is given by the giver, the creator. If there is no creator, there is no gift, there is no receiver. So I'm talking to myself, how we are interconnected with these three things, that three things are important for sacrifice, in Latin, sacred act, right?
yeah.
But that is what I'm happy to learn this. I was reluctant about using this word sacrifice, kind of this way, right?
Right.
Today, I'm very thankful that I understand more about what it's like. I never know, but I know the word. But, in the West, I hear this and a little bit, I don't know. Today, I understood more. And also, from my deep down my heart, I close my eyes and we are all connected to each other. We are one family. I thank you and Mahalo for Renee and Cliff, and they fulfilled something in my life journey. They made me free. Now I have a very beautiful coconut shell. It is given by the giver. I carry this all around the world. That is, thank you for being with me, understanding me, helping me make this vision come true in my life. I'm free from this. Thank you for all of you. Thank you, Renee, all of you very much. We see all of us another time. Thank you, brother. Thank you, everybody. What a beautiful... thank you for inviting me. I said, okay, I don't want to go. But when Renee asked, I go.
Thank you, Surya. Thank you very much.
Elizabeth, we have a tradition of doing a vote of thanks. Could you say something to finish our meeting, Elizabeth?
Well, it's just been quite wonderful. Surya, I still see you as the embodiment of generosity, whether we call it sacrifice or generosity or whatever. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. We're so blessed to have you back here in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mahalo.
Namaste. Aloha.
Aloha.
Aloha. Mahalo.